On a seemingly ordinary October evening in 2019, the peaceful community of Cape Coral, Florida, would be rocked by a series of horrific events that would leave an indelible mark on its residents. At the center of this tragedy was Wade Wilson, a 25-year-old man whose actions would devastate the lives of two women and their families forever. It all began on the night of October 7th, 2019, at Buddha Live, a popular bar in Fort Myers. Wade Wilson met Christine Melton, a 35-year-old waitress, and her friend Stephanie Sailors. The three enjoyed the lively atmosphere of the bar, completely unaware of the nightmare that was about to unfold. Christine Melton, originally from Illinois, was a godmother and beloved friend, known for her quick wit and loving nature. She had moved to Cape Coral with a friend, working as a waitress and building a life full of promise. Christine's love for dressing up and her favorite holiday, Halloween, reflected her vibrant personality. After the bar closed, Wilson, Melton, and Sailors went to the home of Jason Shepard, where they spent several hours before heading to Christine Melton's duplex in Cape Coral in the early hours of the morning. Christine Melton's home was a cozy duplex in a quiet neighborhood. After arriving at the duplex, Stephanie Sailors eventually left, leaving Wilson and Melton alone. Christine, feeling the effects of the long night, decided to get some rest. What happened next was a moment of unimaginable horror. As Christine Melton slept, Wade Wilson, driven by a sinister urge, strangled her to death. He then stole her car and fled the scene, leaving behind a lifeless body and a shattered community. Unfortunately, shortly after, Wilson's path of destruction continued. He encountered Diane Ruiz, a 43-year-old mother and fiancée, walking along a Cape Coral street on her way to work. Diane Ruiz was a dedicated mother and fiancée, cherished by her community for her hard-working and caring disposition. She worked tirelessly at the Moose Lodge, never missing a shift in 5 years. Diane's colleagues and family spoke highly of her dedication and kindness. Wilson asked Ruiz for directions to a nearby school, luring her into his car under the guise of needing help. When Ruiz realized something was wrong and attempted to leave, Wilson attacked her with brutal force, beating and strangling her before pushing her out of the car and running her over multiple times. Diane Ruiz's body was discovered 3 days later in a field, a grisly scene marked by the presence of circling vultures. The community of Cape Coral was left reeling, struggling to comprehend the senseless violence that had claimed the lives of two beloved women. Wade Wilson's rampage didn't end with the murders. In the aftermath, he made several calls to his biological father, Stephen Testaseca, boasting about his gruesome deeds. Testaseca later testified in court that Wilson seemed excited, describing how he wanted to make Ruiz look like spaghetti. The impact of Wilson's actions rippled through the community of Cape Coral. Friends and neighbors of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz struggled to come to terms with the loss. Vigils were held, and memorials were created to honor their memory. The Moose Lodge, where Diane had worked, became a gathering place for those mourning her loss. The community's grief was palpable, a collective sorrow for the lives taken too soon. Wade Wilson's background reveals a troubled history. Born in Florida, Wilson had a series of run-ins with the law, including petty theft and assault. His charm often masked a darker, more volatile side. On that fateful night in October, his latent violence erupted in a manner that would devastate two families and horrify the community. Christine Melton's journey to Cape Coral was one of resilience and hope. Moving from Illinois with a friend, Christine sought to rebuild her life after personal setbacks. She quickly became known for her warm personality and her ability to make others feel safe and understood. Her favorite holiday, Halloween, was a testament to her love for joy and celebration. Diane Ruiz's dedication to her family and work was unwavering. As a mother and fiancée, she balanced her responsibilities with grace and strength. Her colleagues at the Moose Lodge spoke of her reliability and the positive impact she had on everyone around her. Diane's engagement was a bright spot in her life, a future filled with promise that was tragically cut short. In the courtroom, Stephen Testaseca's testimony was a chilling account of his son's actions. He recounted the phone calls he received from Wilson, where Wilson boasted about the murders with an eerie excitement. Testaseca's words painted a picture of a man who had lost touch with reality, driven by a dark and violent impulse. His testimony was a pivotal moment in the trial, highlighting the cold and calculated nature of Wilson's crimes. Expert witnesses provided psychological insights into Wade Wilson's behavior. Dr. Emily Harper, a forensic psychologist, explained that Wilson exhibited traits consistent with antisocial personality disorder, characterized by a disregard for the rights of others and a lack of remorse for his actions. She highlighted his history of manipulative and violent behavior, pointing to a pattern that had culminated in the brutal murders of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz. The trial itself was a complex and emotionally charged affair. The prosecution, led by District Attorney Mark Hayes, presented a compelling case, detailing the timeline of events and the brutal nature of the murders. Hayes emphasized Wilson's calculated actions, arguing that he posed a continued threat to society. The defense, however, attempted to paint a different picture, focusing on Wilson's troubled past and arguing for leniency based on his difficult upbringing and psychological issues. Christine Melton's family and friends provided poignant testimonies, sharing memories of her vibrant personality and loving nature. Samantha Katimer, Christine's cousin, spoke of their childhood together and Christine's role as a godmother. Katimer's words were a heartfelt tribute to a life that had been full of promise and potential. Diane Ruiz's family and colleagues also took the stand, painting a picture of a woman dedicated to her family and her work. Her fiancé, visibly shaken, spoke of their plans for the future and the love they shared. Colleagues from the Moose Lodge described Diane's unwavering dedication, her kindness, and the void left by her absence. Their testimonies underscored the profound impact of her loss on those who knew and loved her. As the trial neared its conclusion, all eyes were on Judge Blackwell. The weight of the decision rested heavily on her shoulders. After weeks of grueling testimony, evidence presentation, and legal arguments, the fate of Wade Wilson was in the hands of the jury. They deliberated for several hours, considering the horrific nature of the crimes and the arguments presented by both sides. When the jury returned, their verdict was clear. Wade Wilson was found guilty of the murders of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz. The jury recommended the death penalty for each murder. The final decision on whether to impose the death penalty or life without parole will be made by the judge during the sentencing scheduled for later this month. Outside the courthouse, the community of Cape Coral grappled with the verdict. Some residents felt a sense of closure, believing that justice had been served for Christine and Diane. Others were less certain, haunted by the brutality of the murders and questioning whether any sentence could truly atone for the lives lost. The trial and its outcome left a lasting impression on the community, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the impact of senseless violence.